Welcome to this explainer. Okay, if you're a focused learner looking to truly elevate your chess game, you're absolutely in the right place. We all love watching those breathtaking, brilliant sacrifices from grandmasters, but there's a fundamental truth we really need to internalize right out of the gate. Chess mastery isn't about having occasional bursts of magical genius. It's actually about ruthless consistency and unyielding discipline. Every single minute on your clock is 60 chances to either play brilliantly or make a complete blunder. So today, we're going to walk through a complete training system that shifts your mindset from just hoping for a lucky tactic to calculating and defending like an absolute machine. Okay, let's dive into this. We've got 4 main pillars today: calculation and discipline, becoming blunderproof, endgame technique and conversion, and finally, some words of chess wisdom.
Part 1. Calculation and Discipline.
You know, if there's one massive thing holding club players back, it's kind of this ego-driven idea that playing fast means playing well. But honestly, speed without discipline is literally just rushing to a loss. When we lose, we always tend to think, wow, my opponent played like a total genius. But here's the hard truth. You aren't losing because your opponent is a chess genius. Check out this stat. 80%. Yeah, 80% of games are lost by blunders. Not by brilliant opponent play, but by blunders. The legendary Bent Larson used to say, long variation, wrong variation. Basically, if your mental calculation tree has 8 different branches, you've probably already lost the thread. Keeping things short, forcing, and being incredibly disciplined with your time is just as crucial as being accurate. A good move played with time left on your clock beats a perfect move played in a wild panic, for sure. So how do we fix this? Well, you need the CCT rule. This is basically your holy grail. You've got to apply this exact sequence before every single move. Yes, even in bullet chess. CCT stands for checks, captures, threats. But the real magic here is the order. First, you always ask, is there any check on the board right now? If there is, calculate it. Only then do you move to captures. Is there any free or winning capture available? And finally, threats. Any direct threat to create or respond to. Once you really bake this into your brain, you're going to be running through this whole checklist in under 5 seconds flat. Okay, so how do we actually process these moves? First up, mentally write down 3 candidate moves before you calculate anything. Never ever fall in love with the first move you see, all right? Forcing yourself to find 3 options totally breaks that tunnel vision. Then, you calculate each one just 2 moves deep. That means your move, their best reply, and your follow-up. This short little window catches the majority of tactical blunders without completely burning your clock. Speaking of the clock, 5 minutes is the absolute maximum you should ever spend on one position. Look, if you see a good move, sure, take maybe 30 extra seconds to look for a better one, but that's it. And to really build this mental muscle, try visualizing. Solve 3 puzzles in 10 minutes every single day without actually moving the pieces on the board. Your mind literally has to become the board. Moving on to part 2, becoming blunderproof. If you want to survive the middle game, you've got to flip your perspective. Stop obsessing over your own attacks and really start focusing on defense. Chess is absolutely a game of millimeters. Seriously, the difference between a winning and a losing move is often just one single square. When you train your eye to spot those truly critical squares, it changes everything. And get a load of this next number, 90%. 90% of your overall improvement is going to come just from stopping yourself from hanging pieces and missing simple one-move threats. In fast time controls, your main goal shouldn't even be to win fast. It should just be to not lose stupidly. Think about it. One careless blunder can cost you over 100 rating points in a weekend tournament. Consistent, solid defense is way rarer and honestly way more valuable than the occasional stroke of brilliance. To actually hit that 90% mark, we have to talk about prophylaxis. This basically means thinking about what your opponent wants to do and stopping it before it even happens. You really have to start treating your opponent as your best coach. Every time they create a threat, they're pointing out a hole in your position. A great little habit here is the hanging piece rule. Just mentally touch every single one of your pieces before you move. Do a super quick 3-second inventory to see what's undefended. It is absolutely the #1 way to save your rating at the club level. So to put this into practice, I want you to start using the 5-second danger check. Before you commit to any move, pause and run through these 3 levels. Level 1, am I in check? I know it sounds super obvious, but you'd be amazed how often this gets missed in time trouble. Level 2, am I losing material? Just quickly scan for hanging pieces after the move you intend to make. And level 3, is there a mate threat? Always look twice at back ranks, open files, and of course your unprotected king. Seriously, just run this danger check on loop.
All right, part 3, endgame technique and conversion.
So, as the pieces come off the board, precision becomes just infinitely more important. Picture this. You've played an absolute masterclass of a middle game. You're up a full piece. The engine says you're sitting at a +5 evaluation. What happens when you relax and rush a winning position? Well, your brain takes a break. And that is exactly when you fall into the obvious move trap and hang a piece. And because of that relaxed mindset, get this. A staggering 70% of winning positions end up as draws purely because of rushing and overconfidence in the endgame. It's crazy. Even when you are completely crushing it, you have to force yourself to take 30 extra seconds before converting. Always go back to that CCT rule we talked about earlier, no matter what the evaluation says. It sounds a bit counterintuitive, but the end game is where you actually need to hit the brakes. Think of it this way. One accurate move equals a win, but one fast move equals a draw. Mistakes here are pretty much irreversible. You really need to spend that accumulated clock time in this phase of the game to make sure you're playing with maximum precision. To lock in that win, just follow this specific 3-step sequence. Step 1 is king activity. You need to centralize your king. Just take 10 seconds and make a quick plan for that. Step 2 is pawn structure. Take a full minute here to figure out how to create a passed pawn. And step 3 is zugzwang. Put your opponent in a spot where any move they make just completely ruins their setup. And whatever you do not rush this phase. Actually map out this conversion plan in your head before you start moving, because unplanned conversions, they drift into draws, but planned conversions, those win. Finally, part 4, words of chess wisdom. Let's cap all this practical advice off with some real wisdom from the greats. First up, the legendary Bobby Fischer. He famously said, "Tactics flow from a superior position." What he means here is that you simply can't force a crazy combination out of a bad position. It just doesn't work. You actually have to earn your tactics first. You do that by building your pieces on active squares, grabbing the center, and pushing pawn advantages. When you do the groundwork, those brilliant tactical strikes, they basically just appear all by themselves. Next, we've got Siegbert Tarrasch, who tells us, when you don't know what to do, wait for your opponent to get an idea. This is that highly underrated do-nothing strategy, just slightly improving your worst-place piece while you wait for your opponent to get impatient and make a mistake. That is a brilliant form of time management and patience, especially at the club level. And then there's Frank Marshall. He hit the nail on the head when he said, "A bad plan is better than no plan." Just aimlessly drifting in the middle game, shuffling your pieces around, without any real goal, that is the fastest way to bleed time and ruin your position. Even if your plan is totally flawed, just having one gives your pieces direction, and it keeps your clock usage totally honest. Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. Look, the chess engine doesn't care about your psychology, and it definitely doesn't care about your feelings. An objective player is going to beat an emotional player every single time. So, are you ready to stop playing on feeling and start playing with discipline? I challenge you to take that CCT rule, checks, captures, threats, and apply it relentlessly in your very next game. Thanks so much for joining me, and good luck out there on the board.